before breaking the step into 2 videos just to kinda hopefully make them a little more concise. So we've already created that subdirectory CIT93FA23 hopefully, and you already have it open in VS Code. I'm there with you, okay? I do have my terminal open. I do show my terminal as in that directory, and if you're not sure, you can always type pwd. It'll actually explicitly show you that folder that you're currently in. Learning more command line commands is something you'll do in this course and just good to have under your belt. Now, this is on the Windows side, it did create that OneDrive, and I did realize on the Mac, I didn't even say this, the other interface you can use on the Mac is called CSH, which I kinda like, I typically use that. You can also use that same Git bash on the Mac side as well, and you can also just clear this one. Now, the reason I like to break these things into segments is I wanna it's iterative, meaning you need to get the previous step done in order to do this step, okay? So we've already created a folder, we're already in VS Code, we have the terminal open, and now we're gonna do this command. I should actually have it formatted correctly. I'll do that before you see this. Whenever you see, like I have it here, these are actually commands that you type in. So I'll make sure I fix this. So you're gonna type git clone, but then you're gonna need the repo URL. So let me show you how to grab that so you don't have to type it. And I want you to do your private one first. So go into our organization, and in here, find your private repo. And on your private repo, go over to the green button where it says code. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy the HTTPS URL. Now, as you learn more about and do more development, if this is your path, you'll learn how to do this through SSH by creating local keys. It's generally kind of the next step you naturally take. Some people say HTTP is not the best way to do this, but for beginners and for people that are new to this, it works fine. So what we're going to do is make sure we're on HTTPS, hit copy here. Okay, go back to our local setup, and now we're going to type those commands. Once we make sure we're in that folder, we're going to type git clone, and then I'm going to paste that URL. Now, the reason that's listed in white background is because I pasted it. If I had typed it in, it wouldn't be like that. And notice I hit my arrow key. And so what this is gonna do is at this point, it's going to go out and bring in that structure I created on GitHub for the private repo, but in this process, it is also gonna ask me to log in to GitHub. Now, here's where it's just a little bit tricky. I'm already logged into GitHub right here on the browser. And so what it's gonna do, it's gonna kinda at least on my system, and you may get a little different window here because everybody's operating system can be set up a little differently and their browser set up a little differently. But in this case, because I'm already logged in, it's just gonna flash real quick because it's gonna pick up that authentication. But if I was logged out, it actually would give me matter of fact, I'm just gonna show you in case you see it this way, because you may see it either way, is I'm gonna go ahead and log out just to show you. Now, you may not get this window, so again, everything may look a little different. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna hit enter, and when I do that, it's going to ask me, and this is the window I wanted to show you, right? So we're going to log into the browser, right? You can send a code. That's two-factor, not a bad idea. But you can also do something called a token, a web token. So if that's something you're interested in doing, come talk to me. I'll show you. Basically, you go into your GitHub, you go into developer options, you create a token, and that token basically is an encrypted password. But in this case, again, much easier. We'll just log in, and then it'll ask me just to log in to my GitHub. Oh, actually, why isn't it asking me to log in to my GitHub here? May I just have to log in? It should. Oh, looks like it already did. It must have just grabbed something I'd already done. No, but at that point, you need to log in. Okay. Yeah, it's always interesting when you do these things because things change. I'm not sure what happened there, but the end result of what should happen, let me say it this way, the end result of what should happen is that you should get something that looks like this, right? So something it authenticated in the browser and it went out and got the objects, and then what you will see is a new folder sitting here, right? So we now have a new folder setting in here, and now this folder, again, it's a repo, is actually connected to our GitHub. So anything we do in here, once we learn the next stage, we will end up pushing to GitHub. Again, you'll learn that next. Okay, so we're actually going to do the second one now as well because it's good to do both. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to come over into, and this is the, and by the way, this is where I'm in my own. So I'm going to type 93 because I just don't remember every time how to, the different ways you can get back. I'm going to go to my public one and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hit copy this. Now this one, because I've already authenticated, should not go through that process. The idea of doing it with the authentication on the first one is that now you're authenticated. It has encrypted your authentication password into the system and you should be good to go. But again, come talk to me if you have any problems there. So I'm going to do, now I could use a up arrow here. But that's going to bring back the last command. The reason I might do that is I backspace, right? Because I'm lazy and I don't want to type git clone. It's easy, right? And actually, again, I'm going to do this. I'm going to clear, okay? Making sure I'm still in that same folder structure of CIT93. I'm going to type git clone and I'm going to paste. Now, look very carefully here because what's happening is I'm now cloning a different repo. So first I did the private and now I'm doing the public. So just, and this is showing the URL where Windows, in this case through Git, is going to go out and clone that repo locally. So make sure of those things before you do that step. And good. That, again, should not ask for authentication. And what you should end up with is these two folders inside of the default folder that you have for this class. Okay, so let's just go back and look. Yeah, here I talked a little about the web token. By the way, again, for students who want to do that part, instead of typing in your password, you can go into your settings under here. I'll just show you this in case you want to know. You can go into, actually it's passwords. It's passwords and authentication. And inside of here, what you can do is something called, let me go back. Oh, developer options. Again, you don't have to do this if you type in your password, just good to know. You do a personal access token. I typically do the classic ones when I'm doing this, generate a new one. I'm not going to walk through it because it's basically, I'd have to delete it anyway. But if you wanted to, when you did the clone of the first repo, the private one, you could have, instead of doing your password, you could have typed in that token. They just give you multiple ways to do it. Okay, so now we have the two repos here. Oh, and one thing, and actually this may have come up before, but we'll actually move on to the next one just in case you run into that next. Okay, hope this helped you out.